Meghan's lifestyle company just used 3 phrases to hint at its newest offering. "I'll be there tomorrow." The revelation was made the following morning. A matchbox. Not a brand new jam flavor. Not a skincare line. Or a wellness supplement. Some candle bundles come with a complimentary box of matches. The brand image, which instantly became the week's most talked about, was promoted using a picture and presented as an opulent finishing touch. The Duchess of Scamelot, Meghan Markle, is selling matches. I can't believe I'm saying this. We'll get to that picture. You will comprehend just why it caused the reaction it did once you hear the particulars. We will discuss the matches tonight, the candles they are meant to go with, the tunneling burn pattern that sparked the quality discussion, the 2016 quote about $100 candles that is currently making the rounds along with the current price list, the number 519 wedding candle and its backstory, and the entire journey from American Riviera Orchard to this specific branded matchbox moment. This sums up everything that has been going on with this brand and explains why this particular launch went so poorly. Meghan Markle just told Prince Harry, "Finally, get a job." Do you recall the old song, "Get a haircut, get a job"? Meghan Markle's annoying hypocrisy has just come to light. Harry might need to get a hair transplant and get employment, I suppose. Let's start with the matches, since the launch details are actually peculiar and are more important than the general commentary. 3 words were posted on the As Ever social media page on May 28th, "Arriving tomorrow." Just a hint that something new was on the way. The announcement came the following morning. As a complimentary item in the signature aroma bundle, limited edition branded matches are offered as a luxurious complement to the candle collection. The selling price of 4 candles and matches is $256, or roughly $190. Given that matches are among the most prevalent and inexpensive household goods, the opulent framing of a matchbox prompted immediate remark. For a few cents a box, they can be found in every supermarket in the world. The majority of consumers purchase them without giving brand identity or premium positioning any thought. The process of starting a flame is really easy, and the cost is very small. The internet was immediately drawn to the contrast produced by presenting them as limited edition products with luxury branding associated with an upscale lifestyle line. She is a matchstick vendor. All right. She is not working on a clothes line. She's not dressing at home. She plans to sell matches. These seem to be high-end matches. However, the launch's most talked about aspect was not the product itself. The promotional shot was, and it merits a thorough analysis of its own, as the particular decisions made in it are what caused the response to escalate from a fleeting social media moment into a multi-day dialogue. A candle that had burned in a distinct tunnel pattern was featured in the picture, selected to announce the matches. Thick, unburned walls of wax surround the container's exterior, while the flame travels straight down the middle of the wax. This was not an atmospheric shot with subtle lighting that just so happened to catch a bad burn. The image's focal point was the tunneling. One burned match rested on top of the matchbox in the foreground, while the candle was positioned as the hero object. One burned match on top of a box of brand new, unopened matches. This was not an unintentional or candid photo. The brand staff evaluated, chose, authorized, and released the promotional shot as the official visual depiction of a new product launch. My website does not have any $100 candles. That is really annoying. All I want is for you to have stuff like that. I therefore want individuals who truly comprehend that philosophy and who take pleasure in the silliness and enjoyment of it all. Yes, Meghan, you're at last understanding what we think of you. Completely annoying. The most intentional way to communicate a brand is with a promotional photo. After looking at this picture, someone determined that it was appropriate to display it in front of the audience. The public record of the brand now includes that decision. If you wanted to create an image that focused as much emphasis as possible on all of the current criticisms of the candle line at once, the tunneling burn pattern, the wick issues, the quality problems, and the perception that the product falls short of what the pricing suggests. This image, which shows a burned match and a tunneled candle together for a product launch, would have been a decent starting point. Within hours, the internet became aware of the problem, and the discussion that ensued lasted for days. Reactions ranged from sincere annoyance from consumers who had encountered problems with the quality of the candles to more general remarks about brand judgment and marketing expertise. Some onlookers questioned whether the image had been approved by someone who was not familiar with the current candle dispute. Others questioned whether the joke's sarcastic and purposeful miscalculation of the audience's reaction was intentional. Neither option was made clear by the brand. Either way, the conversation went on. The tone was summed up perfectly in one widely shared joke. "She's witless, and I'm wicked." The internet ran with it for days, whether or not anyone thought it was hilarious. Naturally, she began dating Prince Harry in 2016. After 10 years, her detractors noted that she now sells her own scented candle set for more than twice as much as the $100 price tag, which she deemed annoying. All of this is desperate, even though it's the $256 trademark perfume collection. The like button is free and keeps Palace Insider continuing if it provides you with a complete picture that other channels exclude. Let's now discuss the candle quality discussion, which took place several weeks before the matches and is the crucial background that contributed to the match launch's success. The promotional shot is merely a bit strange if there isn't already a good dialogue going on. It turned the picture into a synopsis. Several consumers complained about candles that were delivered without functioning wicks. One of those reports was from a well-known reviewer with a sizable fan base, which greatly increased the claim's visibility beyond the scope of a single customer complaint. Although that specific candle was purchased through a third-party vendor who insisted the candle had a wick when it left their possession, a second report also went viral. The second assertion should not be combined with the first as a simple confirmation of a systemic issue because of that particular uncertainty. Meghan Markle gave me a wickless candle. I must thus inquire as to what I should light. What will I light? Since I don't have a wick. Alright, the wick is missing, much like Prince Harry these days. I don't have a wick. She's witless and I'm wicked. It's important to notice that two distinct reports that were circulating at the same time produced enough combined volume for the story to acquire real and ongoing traction in the media that covers this brand. For most observers, however, the quality discourse was not dominated by the wick reports. Candle manufacturers and hobbyists refer to the burn pattern as tunneling. Thick, unburned wax walls surround the exterior of the container while the flame burns straight into the center of the wax, making a hole that gets deeper over time. When you purchase a candle at a premium price, a sizable and noticeable amount of the product is never really used. Until the candle burns out before its potential is realized, the wax in the walls remains there, cooling and solidifying around the empty column in the center. Tunneling has distinct and recognizable causes for those who are knowledgeable with candle manufacturing. Sometimes the wick is proportionally too small for the jar's diameter. On the first burn, it cannot produce enough heat to form a melt pool that reaches the boundaries, and once the channel is formed, the pattern usually persists. In others, the wax mixture fails to disperse heat sufficiently for a uniform and thorough burn. The production of high-end candles is not characterized by either cause. Because the burn pattern is one of the most visible signs of a well-made candle, and because consumers in the luxury market want a clean, even burn that uses the entire product they paid for, high-end candle manufacturers actively spend on avoiding tunneling. When I opened the box, you wouldn't believe what transpired. There was no wick once more when I returned. Because as ever is clearly positioned in the luxury market, the tunneling criticism was very harsh on the company. Because the expectations for a $64 candle are different in every way, it does not spark the same discussion about tunneling as a $12 store candle. To ensure you never miss what we cover next, subscribe to Palace Insider and share your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you believe that the picture was an error or anything else? The no returns policy provided a practical and specific layer to the quality conversation. When a product arrived with issues, customers discovered they had few choices. According to the brand's stated policy, purchases are typically not refundable. The expectations for quality that comes in the package are rigid when a luxury product costs £190 per bundle and has a no-returns policy. If the product does not live up to your expectations, you are paying high prices with no safety net. Limited edition Matchbox cars. The package is the only way to obtain it. $256 in the US and £190 in the UK. A large portion of the dissatisfaction stemmed from the discrepancy between the price and the reported experience, and because there was no return policy, customers could only vent their unhappiness online. Since the Matchbox is only the beginning of the tale, you must comprehend the entire brand trajectory in order to comprehend why the matches garnered so much attention. It is the most recent part of a story that began long before the first jar of jam was distributed. American Riviera Orchard was the original name of the brand. The name sparked interest and media attention, but issues soon arose. According to reports, the U.S. Trademark Office expressed concerns due to the name's strong association with a particular physical area. Montecito is located on the American Riviera, which presents unique trademark challenges. Additionally, complaints about resemblances to already registered brand names were reported. Before gaining traction, the initial branding plan encountered challenges. The trademark issue was resolved by the shift to as/EV. Shorter, easier to use, less regionally particular, and with a name that is neutral enough to be used for a variety of products. New aspirations and a new visual identity accompanied the new name. The candles are tunneling. When you use inexpensive paraffin instead of soy or beeswax, the wax burns down the center of the candle rather than across its entire surface. It was said simply by one critic who was quoted in the British press. This is due to the fact that she uses hazardous and extremely inexpensive paraffin waxes. The first significant product launch was strawberry jam, which was given to about 50 carefully chosen influencers, celebrities, and high-profile contacts in small quantities. Textbook premium influencer marketing was the approach. Create anticipation by distributing content in a carefully chosen and exclusive manner. Before the brand opens to the public, generate social media content from aspirational receivers and generate a wave of organic-looking attention. The 50 awardees selection procedure was a narrative in and of itself. Who was on the list, who wasn't, which famous person received a jar, and what they wrote or didn't post about it. The purpose of the carefully chosen distribution was to create news about who had and had not received a jar, which was beneficial brand exposure in and of itself. Because the expected surge of social media content did not materialize in the volume that the approach seemed to require, the execution came under question. A large number of the 50 honorees made no public posts. A small number of photos and significantly less noise were produced by the effort, which was meant to provide days of refined jam photography across several prominent feeds, compared to what may have been anticipated from a group of 50 popular accounts. The jars discreetly ended up behind commonplace pantry goods, according to some internet users, but they never made it into a single post. Although the remarks were humorous, they were based on a real observation that the conversion rate from gifted product to public marketing was not as high as the approach suggested. During this time, the moniker Scam Jam became popular. Specifically, that designation was not a factual finding, legal conclusion, or verified assertion. Rather, it was internet commentary and an expression of annoyance and discontent. The tone of a portion of the audience who had anticipated more overt joy from the rollout and had received less than anticipated was accurately reflected. Instead of focusing on jam particularly, the broader perspective from that era was about strategy. The company seemed to be operating under the presumption that Meghan's public profile and her network of high-profile contacts would consistently translate into visible brand enthusiasm, and that effective marketing framing would be enough to turn common household items like candles, jam, honey, tea, and candles into luxury desirables. Initially, those are acceptable presumptions for a celebrity lifestyle brand. The jam release served as the initial test to see if those presumptions would hold up in real life. The answer was not as obvious as the launch strategy had suggested. Many observers said they saw the same underlying tendency at work across 3 distinct product categories by the time the Matchbox launch, and candle complaints were garnering media attention. A high-profile debut, a marketing budget that projected substantial customer demand, and a discussion on whether the product itself warranted the marketing's recommendations. Let's now discuss the quote, since it is one of the most precise and widely shared contexts in the entire discussion. Meghan promoted her lifestyle blog during a conference in Atlanta in 2016. "There are no $100 candles on my site. That's so obnoxious," she remarked during that presentation, referring to her own website. The trademark perfume set is now priced at $256. The retail price of individual candles in the As range is $64. The 2016 remark was made in a particular setting. She was outlining the philosophy of her blog and presenting it as approachable rather than aspirational in the sense of luxury. The premium and luxury market is where the present brand is clearly positioned. A person has the right to switch between those various market positions during a 10-year period. Businesses adapt, audiences shift, and positioning shifts. The term she chose in 2016 remains the same. Not costly, superfluous, excessively expensive, or annoying. In the sentence, that word serves a certain purpose. It conveys not only that the cost is great, but also that it is a judgment on one's character. The decision to sell a $100 candle reveals something negative about the seller. It is not an economic criticism. It is ethical. That word doesn't require editorial annotation when it reappears in 2025 with a $256 candle package. No amount of brand development or market repositioning can alter the meaning of the term obnoxious or what it represented when she picked it. The juxtaposition is self-explanatory. The candle with the number 519 adds a unique dimension of its own. The royal wedding at St. George's Chapel in Windsor on May 19th is referenced in the name. According to the brand's marketing, it uses language that emphasizes sunshine, blue skies, joy, and the passion of the occasion to evoke the mood of that unique morning. The idea is to charge $64 for a fragrant memento of a personally meaningful event. The issue that opponents pointed out right away is a particular, extensively reported tale from royal coverage that has endured throughout a number of years of reporting. Concerns over the smell inside St. George's Chapel during the wedding preparations have been reported in a number of media publications. The chapel's historical and ceremonial significance apparently led some staff members to believe that the idea of introducing more fragrance before guests arrived was superfluous. Dip subsequently revealed that their items were utilized in the preparations, which maintained the story's circulation in royal coverage by offering a precise and substantiated point of reference. Different versions of the narrative dispute the particular specifics, and none of those accounts have been thoroughly verified. What is evident is that the individual at the center of the stories about the chapel's scent did not start a neutral conversation with a candle that was marketed as recreating the pleasure and atmosphere of the royal wedding morning. The number 519 candle instantly triggered the tale, which was already part of the background reading for anyone who covers or closely follows royal news. In this case, the Netflix context is important since it provides precise information about the financial position of the AS Ever brand. In 2020, Harry and Meghan negotiated a contract with Netflix that was described as a huge ownership relationship with a substantial long-term commitment on both sides. The structure evolved throughout the ensuing years. Industry analysts interpreted reports of a change to a first-look deal as a more constrained commitment than the initial one. Then, earlier this year, there were rumors that Netflix had completely stopped working on the company's consumer product division. Neither party has openly acknowledged the accuracy of those reports. It was made public that some unsold goods, such as baking mixes and beverages, were allegedly dispersed internally after sales reportedly fell short of projections. Additionally, inventory data that was not supposed to be publicly accessible was reportedly momentarily revealed due to a website glitch. The complete picture is still unknown since the specifics of what that data revealed were contested. The episode served as a focal point for an audience that was already skeptical to inquire about the connection between the company's sales claims and its real stock levels. This is the particular query the observation raises. Why offer free matches in candle bundles if demand routinely and significantly outpaces supply? When a purchase doesn't require an incentive, why include one? Businesses include freebies for valid purposes, such as brand development, customer satisfaction, and product demonstration. However, the gift with purchase strategy's particular rationale is that it promotes purchases by increasing perceived value. When a purchase needs to be encouraged, that reasoning makes the most sense. Purchases don't need to be encouraged when real demand significantly outpaces supply. Because the two signals, consistent sellouts and additional promotional items, do not naturally coexist, observers who are already raising concerns about the sellout story found the matchbox to be a helpful, fresh point of view. The last layer is added by the quote from Harper's Bazaar. In that interview, Meghan stated, "The moment that you start making all of your personal decisions based on external judgment, then you lose your authenticity." Since the foundation of lifestyle companies is almost completely external perception, the statement sparked an immediate reaction. The well-chosen brand identity, the aspirational imagery, and the carefully chosen photos all directly influence how an audience perceives and reacts to the product. A lifestyle brand is not in danger from outside criticism. A lifestyle brand's success or failure is determined by external evaluation. It was seen that there was friction between the quote and the business strategy. For a distinct but related reason, the Bloomberg interview comment that wearing nude tights had seemed inauthentic during her working royal years garnered notice. It centered a discussion about authenticity and self-expression around a very particular piece of apparel. The accessible anti-pretension image associated with earlier Meghan is a long way from where the brand is currently positioned, according to commentators who compared that framing with the current brand, its luxury pricing, its use of royal titles at public appearances, and its careful presentation. That gap was not caused by the Matchbox. The quality questions, the Wick reports, and the tunneling debate were not caused by it. The 2016 quotation, the number 519 candle, and the chapel smell tale were not included. It did this by presenting a single, very photogenic item, a burned match lying on a box of fresh ones next to a tunneled candle that combined all of those pre-existing strands into a single picture. For this reason, the launch had the response that it did. Not because branded merchandise is uncommon or because matches are intrinsically absurd. Because the image captured everything that the continuing discussion had been attempting to convey in thousands of words over the course of weeks of coverage. This isn't a little business with little funding and an ambiguous market position attempting to establish itself. Meghan has access to marketing experts, seasoned brand advisors, media knowledge, and a public image that most business owners would take years to develop. Someone who is unfamiliar with the industry is not developing the product line. Professional infrastructure and expert advice are being used in its construction. Because of this, there are higher expectations and more criticism for each mistake than there would be for a similar one from a smaller business. The last layer worth looking at is added by the Harper's Bazaar quote. Because lifestyle businesses are primarily focused on external perception, Meghan's statement in that interview, "The moment that you start making all of your personal decisions based on external judgment, then you lose your authenticity," sparked an instant reaction. The brand identity, the aspirational imagery, the well-prepared narration, and the carefully chosen photographs all directly influence how an audience perceives and reacts to the product. A lifestyle brand is not in danger from outside criticism. The main factor that determines whether a lifestyle brand succeeds or fails is external judgment. A customer's decision to purchase a $64 candle from as ever instead of a $12 candle from another source is only influenced by their view of the outside world. The audience took notice of the quote and the company's strategy and provided extensive commentary. In a larger discussion about self-expression, the Bloomberg comment about nude tights garnered attention for the same underlying reason. Characterizing hosiery as inauthentic during her working royal years was a specific and somewhat unexpected choice of example. When observers compared that framing with the current brand, its luxury pricing, its royal title usage at public events, and its carefully crafted premium positioning, they found that the distance between the two images was useful material for the same observation about how the accessible, unpretentious persona has evolved. One thing the Matchbox launch showed is that every new product now enters a dialogue that has been developing for 2 years, regardless of whether you interpret the brand trajectory as a brand finding its footing, a brand that has lost the thread of its original identity, or something more complex than either of those. Nothing new began with the matches. They were the most recent development in a conversation that began with jam jars, which most well-known recipients did not post about, moved on to a candle line that caused complaints about quality and a no-returns policy that left customers with nowhere to go, and ended with a promotional image of a burned match on a box of new ones next to a clearly tunneled candle, authorized and used as the launch image for the brand. How do you interpret the trajectory as it has been? And do you believe that the audience was misinterpreted or that the photo was a true oversight? Please share your honest thoughts in the comments section below. To ensure you never miss what we cover next, subscribe to Palace Insider. Instead of using the summary version, the like button allows this channel to continue undertaking this kind of analysis in its entirety. Until the following one.